Hi everybody and big welcome to a cEDH deck tech video for Najeela the Blade Blossom and a form of card review and me trying to sit and explain why you shouldn't play Myrel Shield of Argiv as your commander. So everything new is often very popular, but everything new isn't always great, and a big reason why something isn't great is because there's just something that is doing the exact same thing but better. Or well, not the exact identical thing. Myrel has this passive ability that reads, during your turn, your opponents can't cast spells or activate abilities of artifact, creatures or enchantments, similar to this guy. But where they are similar is that Myrel's other passive ability, whenever Myrel Shield of Argiv attacks, create X 1/1 colors solar creature artifact tokens where X is the number of soldiers you control. Well, Najeela has that exact same ability, except it's warriors. Whenever a warrior attacks, you may have its controller create a 1/1 warrior creature token that is tapped and attacking. And Najeela having 5 color identity makes her better because she has access to infinite combat step tricks with the Imperial Tactician, for example. But hold on here, isn't Najeela supposed to be that Turbo Grixis style? I mean, most Najeela decks contains the Oddness, the Fastest, the Breach, the Dockside, sometimes the Pier, and just go for that fast win instead. The truth is, you don't have to do that, you can play the Najeela Stax style too. And wasn't that the original reason why you wanted to build a Myrel Stax deck? You wanted to put a lot of hate bears into play and then overrun your opponents with a lot of token 1/1 soldiers. You see, a big problem both of these commanders have is that they don't have any card draw from the command zone. But Najeela will be able to solve that problem better because she has access to better colors, so she can include card draw cards. Now sure, white have a cool Mentor of the Meek and some other card potential. By the way, Mentor of the Meek is pretty awesome for both Najeela and Myrel, but Najeela will have access to blue and that's like heuristic study? Also, both of them have access to Skull Clamp to pay 1 colorless mana to draw 2 cards and sacrifice 1 of your tokens. But in the end, Najeela will just have access to more in general and also better hate bears. From Collector of Green, Opposition Agent Black and Laviznia's Saurus Renegade white, but also importantly blue. While also being able to go for a clean 1-card combo using black to tutor the cool stuff and then just win. Now having a grand abolisher effect is absolutely amazing, but the threat with that effect is what you do with it. And sure, you can explode with a bunch of hate bear effects, like you can make sure that your hate bears are gonna stick on the battlefield, that's good, but you aren't really progressing towards a win. You aren't really oh well, you can overrun your opponents, but that will take some time. So the Najeela game plan is pretty simple. Get your commander into play, turn 2, mulligan until a turn 2 Najeela. Your goal is to attack early in the game so you're building the critical mass of tokens so that when you get to somewhere like turn 6, you could threaten to kill your opponents. Now, before turn 6, you're gonna do a lot of other stuff. You might try to go for an infinite combo with Darevi, or you might put some hate bears into play to shut down your opponents from being able to win so you get to your turn 6. But the threat is just being able to win on turn 6 from your commander is a pretty nice option. Also, activating once potentially will speed that up as well. I guess a small advantage with the white one is that it has a toughness of 4 and you don't need to attack with the tokens, so it's easier to build the critical mass of tokens, but everything else is just weaker, and that's the important thing in my opinion, because you can just use spot removal and get rid of blockers and you don't need to care about that problem. For example, a few clean cards we could have inside this deck are Deadly Rollick, Assassin's Trophy and Abrupt Decay. But I have to give a shout out to Celius Persecution, 2 mana white black instant. Until end of turn, creatures you control get +1/+1 and creatures your opponents control get -1/-1. You can use this to overrun all of your opponents and kill them in a combat swing, or use it as a combat trick to make your opponent's blocker all die and your attackers survive. So everything is going great so far. We have hate bears in different color varieties, we have card draw in different color varieties, we have cool cards like this, but there's something to think about. Now, your hate bears are creatures, and that's great. You can use them to attack and kill your opponents here and there, but your commander is also a creature-orientated focused deck, and the interaction versus Najeela are basically board wipes. A single pyroclast will basically just kill your commander, all of your tokens, all of your hate bears, and yeah, you're dead if this thing resolves. So here I would actually like to recommend non-creature permanents, or well, I have a force of will up there just to showcase that counter spells are great. You kind of want to have them to prevent that board wipe, prevent someone from winning the game, and protect your other cool stuff here and there. But here we have some cards that won't get affected by a pyroclasm. Now, as always, in the description below of this video there's a link to my Moxfield deck list, but I would like to point out that in that deck list I don't have Blood Moon or Back to Basics, but I have had those two cards in a Najeela deck that I was a Stax deck before, when those cards were great. I don't think they're great today, but I want to showcase them just to give you a thought process of what you could do. And I don't think they're wrong for Najeela. It is absolutely possible to build a 5-color deck only containing basic lands. I've done a few of those. And I don't think that Planeswalkers is a misfit for this deck either. You produce a lot of tokens, you can use those tokens to block and protect your Ashok Dream Render. He will first be anti-search, but then he will be top deck annoying, like you could accidentally exile someone's combo, but also removing all of your opponent's graveyards, so he's a great card actually, really good Stax piece. But then we have this card, and I absolutely love Hour of Silence, and I think it should see more play than it does, so in my opinion. It's really good versus Underworld Breach, but also really good versus the current metagame of Grixis Artifact Storm that a lot of decks wanna do these days. But I think this one deserves a worthy mention as well. Green and white, so Myrel can't play this, and you will basically remove all of your artifacts and enchantments that your opponents control for the rest of the game as long as this one remains in play. But of course we should mention that green can provide some mana dork enchantments for only 1 green mana. So if you are board wiped, you don't lose this mana production capability. I guess I also should mention that I have played Grenzo Havoc Racer as a value engine of sorts. Now normally inside Najeela you played Tymna the Weaver as a card draw mechanic inside the 99. But I personally felt she was a little bit expensive, 3 mana, while Grenzo Havoc Racer had some very interesting potential. Now there was a lot of whiffs in my playtesting with it, but sometimes when you attacked like 7 tokens, you flipped 7 cards off top of that library, and then you usually got some good stuff. And not to forget that you're actually kinda interacting with your opponents as well, because you could accidentally, or not accidentally, hopefully exile some of their combo cards that they have to win the game, or their deck becomes useless. So I personally like Grenzo over Tymna. He's a small potential card draw value, and he can be a small potential interaction, as well as just sometimes even goading away creatures that you want to get rid of, so you can attack more easily into that person. In the end, truth be told, Najeela can be built in a lot of different variations of ways. Turbo combo is not the only option, you can go Stax control as well. It's actually how I began playing Najeela to begin with, when she was first spoiled. For example, I have this really old cEDH TV gameplay, me playing CC, we have Kenrith Galset, and we have a Najeela Stax deck in it actually. This is not Turbo Combo Najeela, this is a Najeela Stax deck down there. Link to this gameplay video in the description below of the video, as well as in the top right corner up there. No, there's none of that. Mons, the biggest liar in the entire world. This video is literally 1 year old. It's kinda cool to see yourself in a same shirt 1 year later. What a strange hairstyle, crazy guy. The green screen isn't perfect either. I think we've come a long way. Regardless guys, we're kinda derailing from the point. I hope you've grasped my message inside this video, that instead of going for new cool cards, we maybe should look back in the game and see what already exists, and see if there's something that does basically the same thing, but in the end better. But if you still want to build Myrel because I love it so much, then go ahead, I'm not gonna stop you, but that's a better option. But in the end you should play what you think is fun and gives you a cool appeal. Thank you so much for watching, and stay safe, guys.
Sim.